Welcome back to Marian's World, everyone. I've got another lovely moth for you today, and this time I'm going to use my Inktense to help me along with the pattern because they've got very distinctive forewings, and I thought it would be a nice opportunity to bring the Inktense in again. So I hope you enjoy the stitching. See you at the end. I've got my Moths of Britain and Ireland. I've put a marker in, so I'm going to do a really pretty one today, and that's the garden tiger, and it's quite a common moth. Habitat open, including gardens, damp meadows, fens, river banks, sand dunes, open woodland. Status and distribution: resident, common, well distributed. I think it's definitely declined in the recent years. It used to be more common than it is now, and it says in here it could be part of due to people spraying weedy areas and tidying hedgerows. So it's orange, browny black and white. These spots are a bit bluish with a black edge. I think it'll be quite nice to do. And I thought that I didn't have any orange fabric, but lo and behold, in one of my fabric sample books I have this. I've got this scrap of one of my husband's shirts, which I think will make the spots on the underwings, and then I've got scraps of my sheets for the white top wings. And you might see that I've got my Inktense here, and that's because I thought I'd maybe do it a bit differently, and I might actually paint the white top wings and then overstitch them. I've cut a shape out of that orange fabric sample, and I have some of this beautiful stranded, actually it's stranded silk in my needle, and unusually for me I've got two strands because I like to work with a single strand usually, but this is quite fine. But I really like the fact that it's variegated, because when I'm stitching natural things, whether it's birds or flowers or moths, there's all that natural variation, and if you can get a variegated thread, it really adds depth to what's being stitched. So I've just cut out the underwing, and I'm going to put it on as a single piece instead of two different pieces, and I think I just need to start and get the shape of it sort of stitched on. And I've got a needle with a sharp point and a medium sort of an eye, something that'll just help my thread to get through. So I need the shape of the wing to come down here, and I'm going to do a split stitch. These little blue bits are just what I've cut out for the spots. So I'm going back up into that stitch. I think split stitch makes a thinner line than stem stitch, so I quite often use it, and I want the line to come right down to the separation of the hind wings, so I'm just going to keep marking the line down. It might not be very obvious at the moment, but hopefully it will as the embroidery comes together. So I'm just going back up into the previous stitch by a couple of millimeters, that's all. Just means that I get a nice fine line coming right down to the bottom. I'm going to take them off, they don't want to stay still. Just take them off. And I will go along the bottom to make the lovely fringes that moths have. And it's actually a bit yellowy, so I've got the yellowy part of this variegated thread here, so I might as well do the fringe while I'm on. And as you will see me do normally, I go along quite loosely and then come back to thicken it up. Actually, this material's being a bit fraying, which will probably help the fringe effect. I'm just going to take some little straight stitches Actually I should come up on the base fabric and down onto the orange fabric. It'll help it fray less. I'll just work my way along. It's quite an open stitch, and then I'll come back thickening it up. It's such a beautiful colour, these, and this is quite a largish moth. I'll have to refresh my memory as to how big it is, but these are not tiny moths. They're obviously not as big as this. Oh, that yellow is really showing up well. I was nearly going to do this one as a brooch, but my room is in such a mess at the moment and it's still getting tidied out that I thought I needed a bit more time to organise it. So I've got another moth that's going to be a brooch. It's another grey day here, though at least it's not raining, which is good. I was pleased to find this bit of orange. I thought I was going to have to paint some to get the colour, and then I just, all of a sudden I thought, I just looked through the fabric sample book and there it was, the only piece that I had. It was exactly the right colour for me, so that was a bit serendipity. So as you can see, those feathery bits at the bottom are not quite standing out quite as well, but it's okay, I'll come back with the yellowy bit. Just going to put some of the lines in. They're not going to be so visible, but they will be there. The split stitch again. I can just hold my thread in to make sure I'm on the right line that I want to be on. I think I've got them a bit sideways. I think it's because I'm stitching sideways. I think it'll be okay. And I think I would like I'd like another line up here. And then I think there's a bit of a ruff here. I'll put some stitches in, hoping I'm in the right place. I think I am. And I'll come back down this with its second row as well. I'll finish this thread off and I'll get a bit of yellow to thicken that up. I've got all the yellow on now that I would like. So I've changed and I've got a single strand of this black. I'm going to put these spots on, just been lying them on so I could see that I got them matched up. And because of the way the scales of a moth and a butterfly are, I don't want to go around them in a sort of like that, like a clock. I need to keep my stitches straight, so the stitches will all be heading upwards towards the top all the time. So these ones will be angled that way and these ones will be angled that way. I'll come up in the background and down onto this spot. I might have to do a bit of pale blue as well, because I think there's a bit of lightness, that reflection that I'd like to capture if I can. And it may be just that a few strands of a pale blue will just give that glint that I'm hoping to get. I definitely want the black outline. while I'm doing the spots, I thought you'd like to know that the garden tiger spots are individual in the same way as our fingerprints. So no two moths will have the same pattern. I'm definitely making sure that my stitches are keeping in the same plane. But it is that noticeable on camera, but it is to me. And obviously in real life you can see, I've got a knot. You can see that the outline is black. Be even more noticeable if I put some paler stitches in. Get it on there. Come up in the right area. And my needle can help put it in the right position. I'll just show that there's a bit of a fold in the wing there by doing a little bit of embroidery in this little folded bit here. Bit of stitching. I think I want that to be there. I do. So that's going to get slightly altered. I'll do that little bit there and put my blue half circle on. I wonder if any of you out there have decided to go and find a moth trapping place where you can go and see some for real. You'll be amazed if you do. There's nothing like seeing them in real life and realising there's nothing to be bothered about, because they're just like nighttime butterflies. Some of the bigger ones, they're so unfluttery on a morning when the people open up the trap. You can just hold them on your hand and they just sit there like little pets. And then you just walk away and put them into the trees or the bushes. And they wait until the night time till they get lively again. And when you're seeing them, they might only be alive for, you know, a few weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks before they die. So it's a privilege to see them when they're there. I think, yes. Orange and blue and yellow. It's quite a lovely, striking combination. It's probably just warning off predators that I'm not very good to eat. Stay away, because the moth would normally be resting with its wings closed, and it would just be the brown and white. And then a predator comes along and it flashes those underwings and looks a bit more dangerous than it really is. Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to go up to here. There's a funny little shaped marking. I'll start it there. I think that looks pretty good. I want to do a little bit of a mark here. The stitching, just so you can see there's a bit of a fold coming in the wings. about running out of thread, so I will get a new thread in my needle and I'll be back when I've matched up the other side, I think. I've finished putting those blue patches on, and I just want to be able to put some highlight to make the glint there. And I found this, and it's not quite the right colour, but it's very shiny because it's silk. And I got this from a charity shop in some... There's one I go to that gets old embroidery supplies sometimes, and it had been a kit that somebody'd started and obviously not done well at, or just got bored with or something, and so a tiny bit of stitching had been done, but it was all silk. And so the whole kit had the blue, it had some green, I think it was like a pond with a kingfisher, and so yeah, I was over the moon. And so I don't think I've ever used this blue, and so I'm going to use it today. I've got 2 strands of it because it's quite fine, but I hope you can see that lovely shine, and so that's why I've decided to use it, even though the colour's not quite on the same spectrum as I'd like. I'm hoping it's going to actually do the trick. So I'm not going to satin stitch this in or anything. I'm just going to add the highlights that I hope will enhance these blue spots. And so far so good, I think. Except I have to make sure my stitches stay straight. That one was a bit wobbly, I think. And that's perfect. And so I'm just going to go to each one and do the same thing. You can see I've taken some straight bars across there, and that's just the blue on his stripy body. It's quite a long piece of thread, but I didn't cut it this long. They must have been pre-cut in the kit, and so I've wound them all on one after the other on my bobbin. And you can see that it's a little bit, oops, my thread, you can see that it's been on a bobbin. I have dampened it a little bit, but you can definitely see it's been on a bobbin. But to be fair, you can't tell that once it's stitched because the stitches are tiny. So I think it only matters if you're stitching with big long stitches, and then you can dampen the thread or you can steam it. Because I hear about people not liking bobbins, but I definitely do. It's the easiest way for me to keep my threads because I like to see them all. I've cut out the wings in white, and different from how I normally would do it, I think, I'm going to paint the pattern in with my Inktense. And I thought about doing it before I cut them out and applied them, and then I decided I'd just try it in situ. So I've got an off-white in my needle, just a single strand. It's just come from my tangle, so it's just stranded cotton, and I've got a single strand of it. And I am just going to put this wing on with some straight stitches that'll be in the way of where the wing veins would be. I don't want them to be too obvious, but I'm going to put them down where I know the white bits are, where the white bits are in the wing. And in that way I'll stitch them on, and then I'll come back to do stitching after I've painted the chocolate brown design in. I just fancy doing that bit of Inktense really. And you could use acrylic paint just the same. I don't need too much stitching on actually. Let's go right up there, like that. Put that one on. Gonna look a bit weird, I think, until I get the actual markings painted on and then some stitching over the top. But I think it's going to work well. Okay, I've just come to the end of that thread at the right moment. Put that back in my tangle. Now I've got my Inktense here, and I'm just going to mix the colour up as I go. I want sort of a chocolate brown. I'm going to try not to use much water on it. And here goes. Might be using too big a brush actually. Oh no, that's going to work. As long as it doesn't spread too much. I don't mind a bit of spread, it'll look natural. I'm actually just dotting that on. Have to be careful I don't go on the background at all. I don't think I will. Going to use the Inktense a bit thicker with a bit less water. Just make a little mark there. As long as it doesn't spread too much, I think I'm happy with this. It's sheet, so sometimes it does spread. It's working better. I'm keeping my brush really dry. Just enough to get the paint onto the fabric. I'm just referring to a picture on my phone at the moment. I can get all these little markings on. Darken this down now that I've got the shape. I think this is going to work really well. What my initial thoughts of it are, anyway. I think I've got to, that's run a little bit, but I'm reserving my judgment. So I'm going to dry this off. The Inktense is all dry and I'm really happy with the way it looks. I've got variegation in the colour because I waited till it was dry, it went a bit pale, I've overpainted again, and I like that depth of colour that's ended up. So I've actually got this variegated pearl cotton in my needle, it's quite a fine one. So just a single strand, and I've already gone through this wing and put the veins on, and I've started to just pull in where the head is, and then I'll go down this wing with the veins as well. But I just want to put lots of straight stitches in here. I thought about doing like a raya stitch that would end up being a bit furry, but I think I'm happy to do the flat stitching for the moment. So I'll just keep on laying some big long straight stitches in here to get the shape of the top of the body. And this pearl cotton has a really good coverage. It's a little bit of orange to come along here too, which will be lovely. I'll just carry on putting in the top of the body. I'm not necessarily doing long and short, I'm just coming up wherever I think and putting the stitches on top of each other, just to build up that bit of 3D-ness that I like. And get another strand in, and I'll start from the bottom and work the veins to finish up here. I'll start, I've got my needle threaded again, the same thread. I'm going to start down here and come up with the veins, but only on the brown, because the veins are white when they're on the white. Just put one big long stitch in there. I don't think I want to do even a split stitch. I think that works well. Little split stitch there. It's a stitch that's really economical with your thread, because you only have to go backwards a tiny bit. So all of your thread ends up on the top. Just make sure I'm following the lines, that I don't want them to go on different angles. It's going to look best if they all follow the same plane. So I'm meeting the white ones that I put in at the beginning. I'm just going to thicken the whole thing up a bit. And just keep sliding my needle in under. I'm coming up down there, and instead of going straight down, which will be more obvious, I just take my needle and slide it in the direction of travel, and it'll be more camouflaged that there's a different stitch there, a different lay of thread. And then there's another piece of head here, and I think I'll just go sideways for the moment, because there's another orange bit to come in. I think that might be that bit done. I need orange back in my needle, which is here. I'll just take, I think I'll take 2 strands, because this is very fine indeed. As you can see, I'm pulling them out separately to recombine them in my needle, because they will definitely lay better by doing it that way. I just need to put a little orange stripe that goes between the body and the head here. Just a tiny bit of a gap in the middle. I'm coming down to here to put some furriness in. And this moth has white feelers, so I'll be putting some white feelers up here. I started putting the feelers in with a single strand of white stranded cotton, and I'm using the tiniest stitches that I can make, just about 1mm in length. Stem stitch would definitely be too thick. I think I like the tightness of the tiny chain stitch. I think I'm just going to finish with a straight stitch up to the end, just so I can be fine. Yep. And then I'll weave my way back down. I'll just do that. I'll just weave my way back down the back of the feeler so that I can start from the bottom again. And I'll do the same again. Just going to go straight back in where I came from. Take a couple of millimetres, in fact it's about 2 threads of this Irish linen. Back into the chain exactly on the same spot. 2 threads up through the loop. And I think I will just finish that off with a straight stitch to end. And I think that counts him as done. Maybe that's not so even. Maybe I'll just come back up and do one more chain, or not. No, I think I'm fine with it. I've cut him out ready to join the others, and I'm really pleased with the way he's come out. I need to just write the name and get it ironed on here so we can match in with the other 2 I've already done. So the name is just Garden Tiger, and I'm using a different pen today. This is High Tech Point, Pilot High Tech Point, and I'm hoping it's not going to bleed through this fabric. Just go over this again, just to make it dark enough. So here is the Garden Tiger all finished, and I'm really pleased with the way the Inktense painted wings came out. If I bring my book in again, you can see that I've got the colours. It's maybe a bit darker on this photograph, and you can't see the shiny bit that I could see on the photograph I had up on my phone. But I'm really happy with how he's come out, and it says in here the wingspan is 70mm, so that's 7 centimetres. That's sort of maybe 2.5 inches, so that's quite a decent size. Quite a decent size, not quite as big as I've done him, but a decent size. And when I put him together with the other 2 that I've already done, just zoom out a bit, I think I'm building up quite a nice collection here that I'm going to put together. The only thing I'm wondering is, should I have made them different sizes to reflect the sizes they are in real life, you know, so that would have been big, that would have been little, that would have been in the middle. But it's too late now. I'm sort of doing them all the same size, and I think I'm fine with that. Or I'll have to be now anyway. But I think they're going to look lovely, and maybe I'm going to try and do 9 altogether. Maybe, not quite sure. If I got 6, that would be nice. 9 will be a bonus. Anyway, we'll let the Garden Tiger have its time in the light, and I'll just say that's the Garden Tiger embroidery done. Well, I hope you like that. I really enjoyed stitching that little moth, and I like doing the Inktense to do the pattern for a change, instead of it all being stitched. So it was nice to do that a little bit differently. Well, I think they're coming out really well. Thank you for all the messages I've been getting since Wednesday's video. I'm really overwhelmed with all the lovely compliments people have been giving me. It's been so, well, it's been a bit overwhelming, but thank you very much. I really appreciate all that. And I just want to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens over the next couple of weeks, and give you all a chance to make a comment so that I can go through the comment picker and pick a winner. Right, thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing and everything else, all the lovely comments, and I'll see you next time with another episode of the Stitch Journal. And until then, bye bye from Marion's World. Happy stitching and crafting and knitting and painting and whatever else you think whatever else you might be into. Thanks. Bye.